The post-debate analysis is still unfolding. Joining me now to discuss more of the fallout is Tom Del Beccaro, author of The Lessons of the American Civilization. He's a former chairman of the California GOP, so you know a little bit about the parties involved here. Tom, thanks for coming on.
Always great to be on, Stacey.
So it has been a total roller coaster of every which way but loose since the debate last week. Talk to me about your thoughts.
Well, historically, divided parties have a hard time winning elections. The Democrats were badly divided in 1860 between candidates and a war. In the 1968 race, they were badly divided over a war. Start of this year, they were badly divided over the Israeli war. And now we add on to this the really bad division over whether Biden should be their standard bearer. And this is, as you well know, this is the 11th hour. A year ago, they were told about this risk and they forged ahead. And the debate performance, which I honestly thought he did better than I thought he would. I thought he, at the 45-minute mark, would really start to fade. He kind of surprised me by defeating Medicare at the 11th minute of the debate. But they have no one but themselves to blame. And they locked in. They thought, as you pointed out, that he's an incumbent. He's got the apparatus. They got the money. They're just going to go with the person that brought them to the dance. And I don't see a way out for them because of the logistics, the legality, and the politics.
Yeah, if they change candidates at this point, they lose two states right away because two states have already, the date to change who the nominee is on the ballot has already passed. And these are functions of the Democrats actually making changes. They're the ones who wanted early voting. They want you to be able to vote for 6 months before the election every day. You need to be able to vote from outside the country. You shouldn't have to vote in person. You should be able to mail your ballot in. You should mail it in 3 times. If you want to make changes, mail that in. Keep making changes until after the election. These kinds of things have consequences because we still have 320 some odd million people that we have to offer the opportunity to vote. And they even want to remove the restrictions on, whether or not you're an American citizen, whether or not you have to show ID to prove that you live in the jurisdiction you're voting in so that you have the right to vote for the state senator or the congressman from that jurisdiction. I mean, if they had their way, it would have been too late months ago because they would have us voting 6 months in advance. I wonder if this isn't lost on them if they're sitting in these rooms trying to decide what to do and realizing that they've shot themselves in the foot.
Well, I do think they realize they shot themselves in the foot with Biden, but I think the commentary, and I've been trying to tell people for months about this, about the voting deadlines, and so I'm glad you're bringing additional clarity to that for them. But it is they can't have it all and still have democracy. And what I mean by that is you want to make it so that people can vote, although Elon Musk expressed grave concerns about electronic voting, and all this extended voting causes problems. But, I was asked the other day about, are they feeling bad about Biden? And the answer is, they just want to win. And if they have to walk over him now to win, I think that's what they'll do. I mean, think of if you watch CNN after the debate, and subsequently, they have been ruthless with regard to Biden. And yet 2 weeks ago, they were championing him as the savior.
I feel like they're in a doom loop. They actually have this system set up where they have their talking points emanate from a certain approved source, and then they have to repeat it. And that approved source is the White House press briefing room. And so when the images of President Biden wandering off from the G7 and talking to invisible people, when that actually came up and the video showed this, the video didn't lie. Karine Jean-Pierre had no choice but to call it a deep fake or a creative fake. And so she was making up terms and kind of settling on what everyone else would say. And then everyone else in the media, if you noticed, said exactly the same thing. And they repeated it ad nauseum until many people are, out in regular America are like, the Republicans make up videos about President Biden. They hate him so much. Their candidate's so weak. They can't even go on the issues. They have to make up things about this wonderful man who's running our country. Well, then you have the debate, and they were shocked at how little the drugs worked, like no shots. At the State of the Union, President Biden was angry and forceful, and he was spitting and yelling, and he read that teleprompter like they were his own words. This debate showed him to be completely, like, he's gone so far past where he was when that happened. And people in the media didn't have talking points, so they were giving their genuine reactions to what happened. And we saw for probably the first time in years how they really feel about him. They don't care about President Biden. They just, like you said, they just want to win.
Yeah, I did a TV show in San Francisco after the debate with some old colleagues. And of course, I was outnumbered, as they say. And I went third, and the two Democrats were just ripped into him, saying how ineffective he was and how troubled. But as going forward, what does this mean? Because you have Carl Bernstein suddenly revived from the dead, saying about, oh, this has been going on all along. The sudden admissions of this kind of thing. So, but where do they go next? I think the last time we were together, we were discussing the possibility of who else is available, and their problem is that all that money rests in the Biden-Harris campaign. I think it would be another civil war if they somehow passed her over, but she's not popular. So they're in between a rock and a hard place of, as you describe it, their own making.
Yeah, their own making with Kamala Harris, because if you recall, Biden came out and said that whoever the vice president was going to be, it would be a Black woman. So he limits in a pool of maybe, let's say, 50 million adults who could possibly be the person, right? And you drag that down to 100 people, right? 100 people who are Democrats who have the kind of background that would lend itself to them being the vice president, which is it's a place card job. You don't really have much to do, but you need to be strong enough to take the country over in the interim for the remainder of a presidency. He limits it to Black women at that elite level. They come up with 5 names, but everybody knew from the moment they said Black woman that it was Kamala Harris, because she was coronated when Barack Obama, as president, went to California and had a big meeting with some leaders there, Gavin Newsom, Nancy Pelosi, and Kamala Harris was there, and he was seen walking with her, a beautiful situation. I don't know if it's a college campus or what. And he said to the press, this is the future of the Democrat Party. She's going places. She's a person I want to see elevated to the highest levels. That was basically his nod for her to be the nominee to be president, not to be vice president. And thank God she never got that. But she can't be the one. Tom, she's not the one. And that's not me saying it. Democrats don't want her. That's what's so funny to me.
Yeah, when I debated her back in 2016, she was unable to answer almost any question. She gave the sort of run-on answers that we've become accustomed to. And she hasn't much improved it. I mean, when you talk to people at the Attorney General's office, they said she didn't work hard and she didn't study and didn't dig deep into issues. And apparently she hasn't gotten any better. But all those millions are sitting in the Biden-Harris account, and they can't be given to another candidate. So that sort of that majorly limits it, the possibilities. And as you pointed out, all those laws that would have to be changed or somehow complied with. And I think they're going to stick with Biden. And at this rate, if he has to do another debate, which will be at night, maybe they'll let him sit down, but they really ought to let him lay down for the rest of the campaign.
You know what? So I've seen a lot of talk about them not doing the second debate. The Biden campaign has already said they will do it. He will be there. It's in September. You mentioned the stress and the effect it has on cognitive decline, that it accelerates it. I'm not sure what we're going to see on that stage. I know President Trump won't agree to be there if they're seated. That's ridiculous. But we'll have to see. We already have all of the previous concessions still in place. No audience, the same horrible debate moderators. I think it's unfair to all of us, for this to be the thing. Tom Del Beccaro, author of The Lessons of the American Civilization. Thank you for being with me today.
Thanks so much. You can pre-order it at tomdell.com right now. See you soon.
See you soon. Coming up, another harrowing instance of airplane turbulence makes the news here on the Salem News Channel.